All right, so before we get into the actual process of reloading, we thought it'd be good to kind of set expectations for the video, almost a disclaimer, if you will. If you're an F-class or a bench rest shooter who's looking to shoot 20 rounds and extrapolate just every ounce of accuracy that you can out of your round, there's probably better reloading videos out there. Mm-hmm. So did you want to just kind of cover your methodology or your philosophy?
And how it evolved, really.
Sure.
So, you know, I started off as a kid working at a bench rest rifle club. That's kind of how I met Glenn Harrison. And I saw guys, I saw the processes all the way back. This is 40 years ago, 40 years ago. And it really hasn't done, I mean, the processes are pretty much still the same now. From what I've seen as far as some of the bench rest guys, they can reload right there. Short range bench rest anyway. And then, you know, tuners, and there's so much other stuff out there that you can do. You know, we talked about neck turning and weighing brass and sorting your brass and that, I've done that. So I did that when I shot 6 SLR for a little while, and there was a time when it's just like right now, where you can't find brass, you couldn't find powder. I mean, everything was just scarce. So what I was doing was I was turning 308 brass into 6 SLR. It's a cool little cartridge. But I had to neck turn, and I had to do a lot of stuff to it to make it right, to make it just fit in the chamber. So
it's a lot of time.
Right? So, I mean, you're talking 5 extra minutes per piece of brass.
Yeah,
wow,
that's a lot.
Right.
And you add up probably 300 rounds you need to load for a national level match. I mean, that's a significant amount of time.
Exactly. And, you know, so now you're sizing it, you're, you know, turning the neck, you're touching the primer pocket. I mean, and every one of these processes just adds a ton of time to it. And when you're doing that, you know, you see guys that have turned necks and stuff like that at PRS matches, and they cry when they lose a piece of brass.
Yeah, it goes down between the rocks, and
I think I see it.
That's right. Wish I had a brass magnet. And I get it. And if you're in what I've seen, and one of the things that kind of really kind of turned me on to, you know, how do I make the best possible product with the least amount of effort?
Sure.
Right? And time, because that's really what it comes down to. One year, I think it was 2015 or something like that, Jake Vibert beat the crud out of all of us the whole season pretty much. And I'm out there practicing. We're out here at Rock Lake, and I mean, he's shooting these like 3/4 minute sized groups, and he's like, is that a practice gun, or, you know, what's going on here? And he's like, no, man, I've been shooting this thing all season. I'm like, you've been beating us with that? And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, is there, you know what I mean? It's like, so there's diminishing returns.
And cost-benefit analysis as well.
Absolutely. There's huge diminishing returns on the amount of time you spend in front of the reloading bench versus spending time with your family or doing other stuff or shooting.
Sure.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And this process kind of evolved out of another one of those necessities. So the 6 SLR was 2012, 2013. The 6.5 Swede, or this, what we call the Swedemore, was another kind of milestone where you couldn't find brass. You could find 4831 anything, not shortcut but long cut. So we developed basically a cartridge that would run 140s at 2950 using 4831 shortcut or long cut. It didn't matter.
Yep.
And it was super effective, and it was super easy to load for, and that's kind of where I came up with the velocity node technique, because I was testing, because I mean, this is a brand new cartridge. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know 4831 is going to work in, but what else works with it?
Yeah, and that's what people still refer to as the Satterlee method.
Right.
But it's evolved since then.
Yes, it has.
Okay.
Absolutely, it's evolved since then, because, I had a super short freebore in that rifle in order to get it magazine length. I think the lead or the freebore on it was like 10 thou or something like that. So I'm jamming these it's way down in there just to make mag length. But I tested a ton of different powders. I mean, you see, you take a picture of the different powders I have up on I've used every single one of those powders.
Sure.
Just to see what they work in.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Julie taking a drink.
Yeah, the
Princess taking a drink.
Princess is taking a drink, yeah.
Dainty little
So so that's where that velocity ladder test came from, and what I found was interesting was it didn't matter what powder I was using if I was in that velocity node.
Sure.
It shot good.
Yeah.
Right.
So, that kind of spurred me on to just be like, hey, I found this and you can find your node pretty fast, and then you go back in and you fine tune it just like we did today.
Yeah.
Right.
But then, I keep remembering back to, like, I had one of the first 6 Creedmoors that George put out, and it had like a 200 thou freebore for 105 hybrids, which, that kind of blows everybody's minds now. It's like it went to 160, then 140, and now we've got these super short freebores, and they're finicky, right? And then even the 6.5 Sum, I had one of those, and one of the early ones, and I had a bunch of VLDs, right? But George was like, hey, this reamer's set up for 140 hybrids. Well, I just couldn't get the VLDs to shoot that good close to the land, so I was like, I was just like, out on a whim, I just stuffed it way down deep in the case, and it shot this tiny little oval group. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would it shoot?
That's weird. Yeah.
It's counter to what everything I've read lately. And then, so what really kicked me in the butt on trying to get a better jump was the 115 RDFs came out.
Sure.
Super long bearing surface. I couldn't jump the bullet far enough to get it to shoot good and not be in the next shoulder junction where the donut forms. And I had a bunch of older brass, 10, 12, 13 firings on them. So there's a donut in there. You can't get away from it. So, or you just dig it out. And that's like neck turning. I'm not doing that.
Yes.
I'll never do that again.
Again, cost benefit analysis.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, I'd rather dig the chamber out than dig the brass out. So I talked to Matt Yore, and I told him what was going on. He's like, well, just get a uni-throater and throat the freebore longer. And I was like, okay. So, me being super patient, I overnighted that thing.
Yeah.
Right. The next day.
We're a lot alike on that.
Yeah.
The next day, I've got a hand tool and I'm throating this thing like 60,000.
Yeah, just to be clear, we're talking about taking a hand tool and physically cutting more freebore into this
The
barrel.
barrel.
Rifling out
Yeah.
by hand, right?
Yeah, by hand,
So-
not with a lathe.
And Matt, yours like, don't you have another barrel, don't you? If you screw this up, and I'm like, yeah, I got it. So even then, I'm like, I'm kind of like looking at and I'm like, okay, I'll just do whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. It's an experiment. Life's a journey.
Well, and you're a self-described tinkerer.
Yes.
You love to just mess with stuff and try new stuff. So.
And you can see out in the garage, there's a bunch of stuff in there out there that's just fucked up. Right there.
What are we gonna do with that?
Chalk it
Go
up
in
to
a
learning.
box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
chalk it up to learning.
That's right. Exactly. So yeah, I added 60 thou freebore. So now I went from a Sammy freebore 188. Now I'm sitting at like 248 or 250 for the freebore. Now I can jump the bullet in a nice spot and be up off the next shoulder junction.
Sure.
And it shot awesome. I think this was 2.5, 3 years ago. So I took this rifle and I think I got a 7th or something like that in Arizona. And then the bullet shot awesome. And that's the biggest thing I went, because that 115 RDF is dynamite. It just hammers. So I come back and I do a little bit of reading and research. I read like Roy Weatherby's stuff and A.P. Ackley's stuff. And then I call Matt and I was like, I'm thinking about adding another 60 thou freeboard to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, go ahead. I mean, why not? See what happens. You're not going to learn anything if you don't.
Right. We've already come this far, so.
That's right. And it worked really good, so
Yeah.
let's do some more of this. Yeah. So I cut 60 more thou freebore into this chamber. And now we're sitting at 310 thou freebore on a 6 Creedmoor, which, you know, you guys are probably like, what in the hell? That's like double what everybody else is doing. Anyway, and it hammered. I didn't change my load. I didn't change the depth as long as I was up above the neck shoulder junction. So now I'm jumping this 115 like 140 thou. And I shot a few matches with that. I think I got a 3rd and a 5th or something. And then, you know, right bang, it was like a match and then another match the next weekend.
Sure.
So and then again, I called Matt and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about cutting some more freeboard in this. I was like, why not? So I cut another 60 thou freeboard into this thing. So now I'm jumping the 115s like 180 thou. The bullet isn't even in the case when it's hitting landing grooves.
Yeah, so
Wow,
you
okay.
literally are jumping it. It's not.
It's jump, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
Completely
leaving
out.
the case completely before it engages the bearing
Right.
surfaces
That's
or
right.
rifling in the
That's
lands. Oh wow.
and it hammered.
Yeah.
And I got it didn't slow down. It stayed the same velocity. I didn't seek the bullet further out or anything. And I shot all the way up to just before leaving to Ireland on this thing, and I got 2,800 rounds on that barrel.
Wow.
And it's still
Which is significant for a 6 Creed.
6 Creed, yeah.
I don't run them real hot either, but yeah, for a 6 Creed, that's a lot.
Mhm.
And if I, you know, it would shoot really tight, but then it would foul up, and then it would shoot loose. But so I took that barrel off. This is before going to Ireland. I took that barrel off, put a new one on, cut 60 thou freebore in it, took the ammo that I had loaded up for the other rifle.
Mm-hmm.
It went within 1 foot per second
Wow.
of the old barrel, right? So I took it to Ireland, won the match, took it to the NRL and PRS finale and did very well with it. The barrel never sped up.
Sure.
It might have sped up 13 feet per second. So it was really low.
And do you equate that to just pressure equalization or
I-
like?
I'm not in it. I mean, I have some thoughts on what's going on internal ballistics, but that happens so fast. Not that many people really have a good grip. There's some theories on what's going on. What I think it is like what you said. It gives an opportunity for turbulence to go down because you're lighting more or more powder is being burnt before the bullet engraves. And that's about the only thing I can think of that it just allows that cartridge to breathe a little bit, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
So, and that's when I started looking at jump first instead of velocity. Because it seemed like, and I'm on my, there was 3 Savage barrels and 3 proof barrels
Mhm.
that have done exactly the same thing, exactly the same speed with the same load
So you're getting repeatable results.
off of multiple different barrels and platforms.
Sure. And correct me if I'm wrong. You had a conversation with I can't remember his name. Short Action Customs.
Yes, Mark
Mark
Gordon.
Gordon.
Mark Gordon. Right. Sorry.
Yeah.
And he was kind of along similar testing and similar theories as well, right?
Yes.
So it's not just a one-off.
No, this
out of
is not
nowhere.
a one-off thing. This
Yeah.
is something that, and Mark Gordon got with Cal Zent from Precision Rifle Blog and published this really neat article. And so I was doing it kind of, this is what I see happening.
Mhm.
And Mark Gordon has the tools to measure pressure and measure, I'm like, I'm going off of what I see, and Mark Gordon's going off of statistics, pressure curves, and just vertical dispersion, everything. And he found the same thing was, 80 to 90 thou, and I took it a lot further.
Sure.
And Mark didn't. He didn't see the purpose to take it any further, just because he saw everything just tighten up in one little bug hole, if you will, at that 80 thou threshold. And that's where I'm at for pretty much everything now. So, I just start jumping. I pretty much start, we went from 10 to 150, just like it does in the burger.
Right.
Right. When you look at solutions underneath the burger reloading thing, it says, if you're having trouble getting these to shoot, jam them 30 thou, 50 thou, and they go through it pretty good. But, so now I'll start like load development on a brand new barrel or something. I'll start 50 thou off, and then I don't even visit the 30 thou or even close to the.
Which is contrary to what most people are doing at the 20 thou-ish off the lands is what most guys are running.
And I think some of that is due to the reamer specs, is that they're almost forced into being able to or have to find a node in there at 20 thou off, because even with the dasher, the BR has a bunch of neck, right? But when you have 105 or 110 thou freebore, that's not very much, right? So most of the bullets stuck down in there. So you don't have a choice when you have a really short freebore. You can't load that thing out,
right?
And but anyway, that's the evolution of it. Is now I look for my jump node first, and then I look for velocity. And what the jump does is gives you that accuracy first. It gives you and reasonable accuracy. I'm not looking for it's a cost benefit analysis. If I have to be 5 thou off the lands to get the absolute most accuracy out of that, or 5 thou into the lands, I'm not interested in it. I have no purpose for that, because I'm missing on wind and some sort of weird position. I'm not in a bench rest, right? I'm not sitting there all bagged up and with a rifle that doesn't go anywhere.
Sure.
I'm like, most of the shots we take now or off your belly. It's almost, I kind of coined it last year, it's barricade bench rest. That's what we're playing.
Yeah, that's how it's kind of evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So at what point am I missing because I shoot 3/8 inch groups versus 1/4 inch groups?
Right.
I'm like, if I can get a 1/4 inch group out of it, awesome. If I get 3/8, that's fine with me. Even 1/2 inch, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, because it's not what's causing me to drop points.
No, I would agree.
Right.
I mean, you're kind of taking one of my excuses away, but yeah.
Well, I mean, or I'm building in an excuse for me to lose.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever. But so that's what I'm looking for first. I'm looking for the accuracy and durability of that load, because that's what that longer jump allows for. The bottom line is, through the first barrel and 6 other barrels, I haven't changed my 6 Creedmoor load in 2 years.
Which is phenomenal.
It's 115s going 29-20.
Yeah. That's saved so much time.
I mean, it's literally my load development now is I put a new barrel on. I already know what the freebore is, because I'm getting them chambered that way. I take ammo from my old rifle. If it goes the same speed and shoots tight,
You just stick
Done.
with that. You're
Yeah.
done.
Done.
load development over.
Yeah.
If only it was always that easy.
If only.
It's been that easy, and that's kind of what
Sure.
I'm getting at is I just don't have to goof off with it that much anymore. Now with the 6.5 PRC, that's a new cartridge for me. That's a new rifle. So we had to goof around with it a little bit,
Yeah.
and I did like going through the procedure with it. Like the 7 Psalms I have, they have like 400 thou freebore. I'm jumping that bullet like 200 thou, and it just hammers.
That's almost 1/2 inch. That's
Yes.
ridiculous.
So my Creederly reamer
Mm-hmm.
that Matt has, it's not full thickness rifling for 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
put that. I'm like, it's
That's the barrel that's on
That's-
hers
yeah,
right
that's
now,
what I'm
and it does
using now.
hammer.
It
I mean, it
hammers.
is absolutely hammers.
Yep.
So couldn't be happier
Right.
with that.
And it's easy to do load development for. I mean, you probably just found it, and it really wasn't hard to work with.
No, it's been great. We've been shooting the prime.
Yeah, we've been shooting the Prime 6 Creed, and I'll say I must have shot like 6 different lots, and it's all. I
All
mean,
does the same
it's
thing.
all the same.
You should try, here's the crazy thing. You should try like Hornady factory ammo on that. It'll shoot ovals, like little tiny ovals. It's nuts. It's like that bullet was designed to jump more than what
Right.
they had in mind. So anyway, yeah, I do the jump test first, and then I do the velocity, the ladder test to find that kind of wide node, and we found
Right.
one that was super wide. And I think what that does, because I'm doing load development in 20 degrees, and the
Oh,
next
yeah.
time I shoot it, it could be in Nebraska at -20, it could be in New Mexico at 70.
Yeah.
And what I found is that it just doesn't change, the velocity doesn't change due to heat, just doesn't, because we've got a buffer on both sides of that, where, if it gets warmer, it just doesn't matter. And, even using, temp stable powders, there's no such thing as a completely 100% temp stable powder.
No, you're gonna get some.
Yeah, you heat it up, it's going to burn faster. That's physics. You can't stop that.
Yeah. So to like kind of wrap it all up, your method is developed around efficiency, forgiveness,
Yes.
while still maintaining good, acceptable accuracy for
That's
the
it
sport.
right there. Acceptable accuracy for
Yes.
the sport. And that's the biggest thing is, and you see guys, I have a conversation with Clay Blackletter once in a while about, load processes and stuff like that. And he's like, it's just really hard to mass produce ammo and get, 5 and 10 extreme spreads, especially if you're not using a compact little cartridge or like a 647
Sure.
or a BR based case that's just, it's like the perfect balance between performance and powder column, and that efficiency built in there just it makes a lot of guys look like really good reloaders. I mean, it's just a really good game.
That's why I shoot 6-dasher for sure.
Yeah, and I've gone so far in one direction with that 6 Creedmoor. It's like, I don't think it's holding me back. It's another one of those things like, man,
Sure.
if I get 1 or 2 more points a match with you running a BR case, I'm at the point now where it's just not worth doing it because, I've got a million freaking large rifle primers
Right.
and I don't have any small rifle primers. So at that point, it's like, why transition over when I know it's not costing me anything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got some other holes to fill before I start looking at the difference between half MOA and quarter MOA for sure. I don't
Right.
think it's what's costing me placement points. So.
Yeah, and my 6 Creedmoor, the big match gun, it shoots quarter inch.
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't shoot. It shoots little ragged, clusters. It doesn't shoot one hole, but my 7 SOM does. That thing is just nasty. And that's a hunting gun too. So, but yeah, no, it's just based around the amount of time that I spend in front of that. I'm a lazy reloader, right? I just don't want to spend that much time out in my cold or hot garage for hours on end. And it's just, I've been at this sport for 11 years now, and it's one of those things, all the money and all the tinkering I've done over the last 4 or 5 years has been to refine and make the reloading keep the same quality,
Right.
but speed up the process.
Yeah.
That's it. That's everything. I've spent all of my money, all of my, on shooting stuff on that kind of thing. So, and I've just found that, regular dies work, $50 red box dies work. The mandrel, the expanded mandrel was kind of a big game changer. The, that power trickler thing, that's saves.
Yeah, the auto
Oh,
trickler.
man.
my
Yeah.
That thing's amazing.
And then, the V3 where I can, to go in and do that, that ladder test, it really didn't take me that much longer because I would just, delete, 57.4 and would throw it. And then, I mean, it was just, before that was really cumbersome.
Yeah.
Super cumbersome to like pull one piece of, just like.
Yeah, we're in the same boat. We'll spend some money to save some time. So it was really great for you to take us from kind of start to finish the whole process. I know that Keely got a lot out of it, and it was really good. Kind of recovering for me because most of my techniques I got from you as well, with the little sprinkling of Matt Yor in there.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put those videos up. We'll probably start with this video here as a standalone and intro into the videos. And then what we'll do is we'll release every week. We'll release a new video on the reloading as we go through it. And we'll start with brass prep and case preparation through annealing, trimming, through how you find your jump, through shooting it and getting results, and then obviously the velocity test and everything else.
Yeah, we're going to true it up tomorrow.
Yep, and we'll go out and we'll true it up, and at the end of it, your NRL hunting series lightweight category gun will be dialed in and ready to go.
Dialed in and ready to go.
All in.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All in, what, a couple hours today, and
Yeah.
And a few
probably
hours tomorrow.
I mean,
well,
we
it'd probably be 30 minutes tomorrow.
Right.
Not even that long.
We filmed everything and we didn't, and I'm not a one take wonder. So, I mean, we spent,
There's some good outtakes in there for sure.
Yeah.
so
We weren't even drinking that.
no, I know. Maybe I would have been better, but yeah, I mean, literally, this is lucky. This is really fortunate where it's a 30-second walk
Yeah.
to shoot a bullet.
Oh, what we would give for that, man.
So I can tinker, like every once in a while, I'll just wake up and write something down and just be like, I'm going to try that tomorrow. Let's just see what happens.
See what happens. Cool.
I haven't blown myself up yet. That's right.
Yeah. So with all of that being said, thank you guys for tuning in each week. In order to get notifications, please make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Hit that little bell so that you do get a notification when the next video is up in the series. And as always, thank you guys for watching.
Cool.